Today's day 43, February 6, 2021. And this is gonna be another types of people video. And I had thought of this morning on watch because a conversation that I was having with a mate, and then again it solidified it during my overtime today. Yeah, I was able to work overtime because our arrival date in Anchorage has been pushed farther back, so I didn't have to take a rest period today. But anyways, at the beginning of the morning, there's a conversation about the stewards that have been on this ship, and not to single anybody out or anything, but you know, my last ship there's always going to be different ways of doing things. Okay, always. There's always going to be different ways of doing things, different ways of how people want things done, and just different ways of how things are run. But my last ship, there was always snacks. There's always snacks left out, always leftover food left out. And, you know, the stewards, if I had come to any of the stewards that came to the last ship I was on, which I've seen a lot of stewards on that last ship, any of them, if I would have came to them and said, hey, you know, I need some of this cleaning supplies, they were like, yeah, no problem, just go grab it. It's over here, or you know where it's at, go ahead and grab it. Or they'd just be like, you know, you don't even have to ask me, just go grab it. Now, on here, a part of my 4 to 8 watch, I am the supply runner for the bridge. So I bring up supplies that we need. Now, the first steward that was on here, I had asked him for Windex, and he like gave me this look, and then kind of like, you don't have Windex? You can't ask the bosun for Windex? And I was like, hey man, they just told me to ask you for the supplies. You know, if I'm supposed to ask the bosun, then I'll go ask the bosun, but I was pointed in your direction, so I'm here asking you. And he was like, well, you know, I don't think I'm supposed to be getting it for you, but I'll have to ask the mate. And I was like, okay, well, you ask the mate, I'll ask the bosun, we'll come back and figure this out. And I got my food, I went and ate, and then when I came back up to put my dishes up, what do you know? The steward's standing there with Windex. And he's like, yeah, I asked the mate, and I guess I am supposed to give it to you. I was like, okay, so you are the person to come see when I need cleaning supplies. And that's typically how my last ship was too, but here it was like, this steward was completely, like, he was on this notion of like not giving me anything, any of the supplies I needed. But, you know, then there comes like coffee. Coffee comes from the steward department. Now, I personally don't know this, but I've been told that there used to be a captain on here that's supposedly retired now. But I've been told this from multiple people that have been on this ship. They said he would want 5 to 6 filters pre-made, like, because we actually grind up the coffee beans on here. We grind it up fresh. And I guess he would want 5 to 6 like filters pre-made for 5 or 6 pots of coffee. And he was like it's got to be fresh every time he comes up. It doesn't matter if the coffee was made an hour ago and there's a pot sitting there from an hour ago. if he was coming up, he wanted a fresh pot right then. Well, that was, I guess, the captain that used to be on here. Now, I had a captain that, on my last ship, where he was so picky about us making coffee, where, you know, he had me literally only make either like 2 cups worth or half a pot worth of coffee, because he thought we were going through too much coffee. And I had to literally ask the next watch if they even wanted me to make them coffee, or if they did want me, how much coffee were they actually, how much coffee did they estimate that they were gonna drink, because then that would be how much I would have to make for them per the captain's orders. So you're gonna get different types of people, from the top level captain all the way down to the bottom level, and people in between. You're gonna have polar opposites of how people want things run. You know, you're gonna have a bosun that one tells you that pipes should be painted, you know, radial with the pipe. You're gonna have another bosun that tells you to paint with the length of the pipe because it's gonna be faster. And I've had that. I've had people tell me you should be painting radially around the pipe, but then I've also been told no, you should be painting longitudinally or laterally with the pipe because it's faster. There's never gonna be a right or wrong answer. And then there's, what was the other point of that I made? Let me look at my notes. Oh, so like the coffee on here also, along with cleaning supplies, and how the steward like didn't want to give me cleaning supplies. The steward on here was also hesitant on giving me coffee, when it's like, you know, it's not like I'm taking it to my room, grinding it up and making my own coffee. I bring my own coffee anyways, but he had actually said that to me when he gave it to me. He's like, now this is for the bridge, this isn't for your room. And I was like, yeah, like they sent me to get coffee from you for the bridge. And he was like, okay, and he gave it to me. And he actually was keeping it locked up in his room. He was that worried about people taking coffee for themselves. He was locking the coffee up in his room. Now, there's that, and then the current steward now, she has her own little quirks of like, you know, she doesn't want to give out so much of whatever. And I've heard about both stewards where everyone says the hypothesis, the thought behind why these current stewards are stingy. Because like my last ship, man, we went through so much coffee, and that's why the captain on the last ship started to get a little stingy about the coffee, because we used to go through a bunch of coffee. But we also had tons and tons and tons of snacks all the time. Here, no snacks, no nuts laid out, no, like the only snacks I've seen is Ritz crackers, saltines, popcorn, and Oreos. I mean, my last ship was literally like walking into some pothead munchies cabinet. It was just filled with every single snack you could think of on my last ship. Here, there's like no snacks whatsoever. Better for me, whole lot better for me. But the thought behind why the stewards here are so stingy is because they try to keep their budget down in certain areas, because the stewards here don't actually make their own desserts. They don't make fresh cookies, they don't make cake, they don't make any desserts whatsoever. Now the steward's job is, from what I understand, from what I've been taught, from what I've seen, the steward's job is to do breakfast and bakery. Now, breakfast isn't that hard, but baking can be difficult. But if you're the steward and your job is breakfast and baking, maybe you should try it. I mean, my last shift, there's a steward, it took him like 3 weeks to finally get a chocolate chip cookie recipe down. It was like 3 weeks. He made cookies every other day, and it was like one was just too soft, one was too hard, one didn't have enough chocolate. Like, he kept messing it up and getting it wrong, and something would be wrong with it. It took him like 3 weeks, and then finally it was like, boom, these are good chocolate chip cookies. And once he got that down, he moved on to trying to make a new recipe, a new dessert. Here, between the last steward and the current steward, they don't make a single thing. They haven't made anything. They haven't baked a single thing. Every single dessert that we've had on here is pre-made, pre-bought. And that is where that is where the suspicion, that's where the thought, that's what the accumulated thought is amongst everyone, is that the stewards are stingy about the cleaning supplies here and how much coffee they're giving out, and because they're trying to keep their budget to where if they don't spend too much over here, then that means that they can buy the more nicer desserts over here. Where now on my last shift, all the stewards were like thrived to make their own desserts. So, you know, when you're making your own desserts compared to buying desserts for an entire crew for every single meal, obviously you're gonna save a whole lot more money when you make cookies from scratch rather than buying cookies by the dozen. Okay, on to the next part, the last part, before this gets too long and before it's just me complaining and moaning about everything like always. The bosun had come down to check on us sweeping in the tunnels today for our overtime. Now, he came down and he automatically came to me. He was like, why are you guys here? I was like, because that's what we're told to do. We're sweeping this tunnel. He said, well, where's the other guys? And I was like, they're down there. And he's like, okay, I could see that, but why aren't you guys working together? I said, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, I got down here in the tunnel and I started sweeping. The other guys showed up and they said, hey, we're gonna go to the other end and then we'll work together. We'll sweep the tunnel, one end and the other end together. And I was like, okay, you know? He's like, no. All 4 of you should have stayed together. That way, if you missed anything, the guy behind you will pick up what he missed. And if he misses anything, the guy behind him will pick up what he misses. And you guys should just work from one end all the way back. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, so do you want me and the other guy with me, I was like, do you want us to go down there and start working with them? He's like, no, it's too late now, forget about it. And I'm thinking, man, you know, if you want us to do something a certain way, then why wouldn't you just tell us in the beginning you want it done this certain way? You know, why come check in on us and then get all upset because we're not doing it a certain way that you didn't tell us to do? You know, there's more than one way of doing things. His way to him is right, you know, And theoretically, yeah, I'm with it. You know, if I miss something, the guy behind me gets it. If he misses something, the guy behind him gets it. Cool, I understand that. But what's the difference between, you know, the way we were doing it, 2 guys and 2 guys? I'm picking up what this guy was not getting, and we're just sweeping together. But he got so like argumentative and was like, what are you guys doing? Like, why aren't you guys working together? And I'm like, hey man, I don't know what to say. Like, I just started sweeping. That's why I was told to come down here and sweep. I came down here and started sweeping. I did not know that there was a certain way it was supposed to be done, because no one told me there's a certain way it was supposed to be done. I was just told to come and sweep. Alright, that's enough of me complaining. Hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share, and I'll see you in the next video.